What if your body is already showing signs that you will live well past 90 and you just do not realize it? Scientists have spent decades studying people who reach exceptional ages, and they have identified 8 specific markers that predict who is most likely to join the 90-plus club. Here is the surprising part. You probably already have at least half of these signs right now. In this video, I will reveal the 8 research-backed indicators that suggest you are on track for a longer life than you might expect. One of these signs predicts your survival better than blood pressure, cholesterol levels, or even whether you have heart disease, and you can test it right now in your own living room. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how many of these longevity markers you possess, and you might be pleasantly surprised by what your body is already telling you about your future. Beatrice is 73 years old, and last year she went to her doctor convinced that she was in serious decline. Her knees ached constantly, she felt slower than she used to, and she had convinced herself that her best years were behind her. But when her doctor evaluated some simple indicators, including her grip strength, her walking speed, and how many social connections she maintained, he smiled and said something that stopped her cold. He told her that based on these numbers, she would probably live to see 95. Beatrice did not believe him. 2 years later, at 75, she is still proving him right every single day. Topic 1. You can open jars without struggling. How strong is your grip? This might seem like a trivial question, but research shows that your grip strength predicts your longevity better than your blood pressure does. A landmark study published in the Lancet in 2015 examined nearly 140,000 adults across 17 countries and discovered something remarkable. For every 5-kilogram decrease in grip strength, the risk of death from all causes increased by 16%. The researchers also found that grip strength was a more powerful predictor of cardiovascular death than systolic blood pressure, which doctors have long considered one of the most important vital signs. A separate meta-analysis combining 42 studies found that people with low grip strength have a 67% higher risk of dying prematurely compared to those with strong grips. Why does something as simple as grip strength matter so much? Because your grip is not just about your hands, it reflects your overall muscle mass, your nutritional status, and the health of your entire neuromuscular system. Weak grip strength is often the first warning sign of sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle that accelerates decline across your entire body. If you can open jars without asking for help, carry grocery bags from the car to the kitchen, and shake hands with firmness, your grip strength is probably in good shape. If you struggle with these everyday tasks, that is valuable information about where you need to focus. The good news is that grip strength responds to training at any age. Squeeze a tennis ball or stress ball for 30 seconds, twice a day. Carry your groceries instead of using a cart whenever possible. These simple actions maintain the strength that research shows is one of your best predictors of a long life. If your grip is still strong, mark down sign number 1. You already have it. Topic 2. You walk at a normal or brisk pace. Did you know that the speed at which you walk can predict how many years you have left to live? Researchers have known about this connection for years, but a major study published in JAMA in 2011 put concrete numbers behind it. Dr. Studenski and her colleagues at the University of Pittsburgh pooled data from 9 different studies involving over 34,000 community-dwelling adults aged 65 and older. They followed these people for periods ranging from 6 to 21 years and tracked who survived and who did not. What they found was striking. A walking speed of about 0.8 meters per second, which is roughly 3 feet per second, corresponded to the median life expectancy for any given age and sex. Walking faster than that indicated better than average survival odds. Speeds of 1.0 meter per second or higher consistently showed longer than expected survival, And here is the most remarkable finding. Walking speeds of 1.2 meters per second or faster indicated exceptional life expectancy, the kind associated with living well into your 90s. On the other end of the spectrum, walking speeds slower than 0.6 meters per second identified people at significantly increased risk of early mortality. How can you translate this to real life? If you can cross a room that is about 13 feet wide in 4 seconds or less without rushing, you are walking at approximately 1.0 meters per second, which is above average. If you walk even faster than that in your normal daily activities, you are demonstrating one of the strongest predictors of exceptional longevity. Walking speed matters because it requires the coordinated effort of multiple organ systems, including your heart, lungs, muscles, bones, and nervous system. All these systems are working well together. You walk faster. When any of them are compromised, you slow down. If you walk at a normal or brisk pace without extreme effort, you have sign number 2. Topic 3. You can do your own shopping, and housework researchers at Duke University discovered something that surprised even them. When they analyzed what best predicted whether someone would live 2, 5, or 10 more years, the answer was not whether the person had cancer or heart disease. The leading factor across all time frames was physical function, specifically defined as the ability to do grocery shopping or perform house cleaning chores. Dr. Virginia Byers-Krause, who led the study published in the journal eBioMedicine, explained that these measures could help determine appropriate screening tests and treatments for older people based on their realistic life expectancy. This finding makes sense when you think about it. The ability to shop for groceries and clean your home requires mobility, balance, endurance, cognitive planning, and enough strength to carry items and move around your living space. When you can still perform these activities independently, you are demonstrating that multiple body systems remain functional and coordinated. When you start needing help with these basic tasks, it often signals broader decline that predicts shorter survival times, regardless of what specific diseases you may or may not have. The practical message here is to keep doing things for yourself as long as you possibly can. Well-meaning family members sometimes try to take over tasks to help you, but research suggests that maintaining your independence in daily activities is literally life-extending. Do your own shopping, even if it takes longer. Clean your own home, even if you need to rest between rooms. These are not just chores, they are exercises that keep you in the category of people who live longest. If you can still handle your daily activities without constant assistance, you have sign number 3. Topic 4. You never smoked or quit years ago. What is the single best predictor of who will still be alive a decade from now? The Duke study found that among the longest survivors, those who lived 10 years beyond their initial assessment, the most powerful predictor was smoking history. People who had never smoked or who had quit many years earlier had dramatically better odds of reaching that 10-year milestone. This finding has been replicated across dozens of studies over many decades. Smoking damages virtually every organ system in your body, and the effects accumulate over time. Here is the encouraging news for former smokers. Your body begins healing the moment you stop smoking, and the benefits continue accumulating for years. After 10 to 15 years of not smoking, your risk of death approaches that of someone who never smoked at all. The longer you have been smoke-free, the more your body has recovered from whatever damage occurred. If you smoked for decades but quit 15 years ago, your lungs have healed substantially, your cardiovascular risk has dropped dramatically, and your odds of reaching 90 have improved enormously compared to if you had continued. If you never smoked at all, you have avoided one of the most significant risk factors for early death. If you quit smoking years ago, your body has been working to repair itself ever since. If you still smoke today, this is your reminder that quitting now will still provide meaningful benefits. Every day without cigarettes is a day of recovery. If you are a non-smoker or long-term former smoker, mark down sign number 4. Topic 5. You have people to talk to regularly. Your friendships might be adding years to your life, and this is not just feel-good advice. A massive meta-analysis conducted by Dr. Julian Holt-Lundstad and published in PLOS Medicine analyzed data from 108 studies involving more than 308,000 participants. The results showed that people with strong social relationships had a 50% increased likelihood of survival compared to those with weak social ties. When the researchers looked specifically at complex social networks with deep connections across multiple relationship types, survival rates increased by 91%. Dr. Robert Waldinger, director of the 85-year-long Harvard study of adult development, has stated that strong social relationships are the most consistent predictor of a long life. People who are more socially connected to family, friends, and community are happier, healthier, and live longer. The effect is so powerful that researchers have compared social isolation to smoking 15 cigarettes a day in terms of its impact on mortality risk. This is not about having hundreds of Facebook friends or being the life of every party. It is about having meaningful connections with people who care about you and whom you care about in return. If you have family members you speak with regularly, friends you can call when you need support, or community connections through church, clubs, or volunteer work, you are demonstrating one of the most protective factors against early death. The quantity matters less than the quality. Even a few close relationships provide substantial benefit. If you have people in your life who would notice if something happened to you, people who call to check on you, people you can share your joys and struggles with, you have sign number 5. Topic 6. You generally see the bright side of things. What if the way you think about the future could determine how long you actually live? Researchers at Harvard set out to answer this question, and their findings were published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society in 2022. Hayami Koga and colleagues examined data from a large cohort of women and discovered that higher levels of optimism were associated with longer lifespan and greater likelihood of living beyond age 90. This relationship held true across all racial and ethnic groups studied. What made this research particularly interesting was that lifestyle factors like regular exercise and healthy eating accounted for less than a quarter of the optimism lifespan connection. This suggests that optimism itself has protective effects beyond simply motivating people to take better care of themselves. The researchers proposed that optimism might influence physiological processes directly, perhaps by reducing chronic stress hormones or inflammation levels. People who expect good things to happen seem to actually experience better health outcomes even when controlling for their behaviors. This does not mean you need to become unrealistically positive or ignore genuine problems. Optimism in these studies was defined as generally expecting that things will work out well, believing that you have some control over your future, and viewing setbacks as temporary rather than permanent. If you typically expect good outcomes, you believe challenges can be overcome. If you wake up most days feeling that life has more positives than negatives, you demonstrate the mindset associated with exceptional longevity. If this describes you, you have sign number 6. Topic 7. You can remember where you left your keys. Your memory and cognitive function are important signs of how well you are aging overall. The Duke longevity study found that, at the 5-year follow-up point, cognitive function emerged as a significant predictor of who would still be alive. Research published in Frontiers in Psychology, examining survival after age 80, confirmed that maintaining cognitive function and sense of usefulness were key factors associated with extended survival. Your brain health and your body health are deeply connected, and when one declines, the other often follows. Forgetting where you put your keys occasionally happens to everyone at any age. That is normal. What matters for longevity prediction is whether you can still manage the cognitive demands of daily life. Can you follow conversations without losing the thread? Do you remember appointments and important dates without constant reminders? Can you manage your finances, follow recipes, and make decisions about your daily activities? These practical cognitive abilities reflect underlying brain health that connects directly to how long you are likely to live. The brain responds to exercise just like muscles do. Reading, doing crossword puzzles or Sudoku, learning new skills, having stimulating conversations, and staying mentally engaged all help maintain cognitive function. Social interaction in particular provides cognitive benefits because it requires attention, memory, and rapid mental processing. If your mind is still sharp, if you can handle the mental demands of independent living, if you engage with ideas and conversations with curiosity and comprehension, you have sign number 7. Topic 8. You do not stress over small things. Can you let minor irritations go without ruminating about them for hours? Research comparing people who live to exceptional ages with those who die at more typical ages has found consistent personality differences. A study published in PLOS One found that long-lived elderly individuals had significantly lower neuroticism and higher extroversion compared to their shorter-lived peers. Research from Frontiers in Psychology confirmed that maintaining a positive outlook and not becoming excessively stressed were associated with living longer after age 80. Neuroticism in psychology refers to a tendency toward anxiety, worry, moodiness, and emotional instability. People high in neuroticism experience more frequent negative emotions and have stronger reactions to stressful events. This constant stress response takes a physiological toll over time, increasing inflammation, raising cortisol levels, and accelerating cellular aging. People who can face setbacks with relative equanimity, who do not catastrophize minor problems, and who recover quickly from frustrations, demonstrate the emotional resilience associated with exceptional longevity. This does not mean suppressing your emotions or pretending everything is fine when it is not. It means having perspective. When something annoying happens, ask yourself whether it will matter in 5 years. If the answer is no, practice letting it go. If someone cuts you off in traffic, shrug instead of fuming. If plans change unexpectedly, adapt rather than dwelling on disappointment. If you can generally maintain your equilibrium when life throws small curveballs, you have sign number 8. You have now heard all 8 signs that research associates with living past 90. Strong grip strength that lets you open jars and carry groceries. Walking speed fast enough to keep pace with normal activity. Physical function sufficient to shop and clean for yourself. A history free from smoking or many years of recovery since quitting. Social connections with people who matter to you. An optimistic outlook that expects good things. Cognitive function sharp enough to manage daily mental demands. And emotional resilience that does not sweat the small stuff. The remarkable thing about this list is that most of these factors are within your control. They are not primarily about genetics or luck. They are about habits, choices, and how you live your daily life. How many of these signs do you have right now? Count them up and tell me in the comments, because I genuinely want to know your number. If you have 4 or more, you are demonstrating multiple markers associated with exceptional longevity. If you have 6 or more, the statistics are strongly in your favor. And if there are areas where you fall short, now you know exactly where to focus your efforts. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that their future might be brighter than they think. And subscribe for more research that proves aging well is more in your hands than you ever imagined.